I believe so, or a 5-1 maybe.
Yeah,
I'd have to go back and double check.
close.
However, what that would do is that would mean that 07 would win that tiebreaker if it does come to head-to-head. So that's just another little outcome to keep an eye on. So points just incredibly crucial for both of these teams.
Relegation day is coming, baby. We're almost there. One more broadcast after this. We are pretty much at the end of this broadcast night. And again, it's going to be Rival versus 07. I can't wait to see the fire that these two teams bring, because if they don't, that's going to suck. Again, you don't want to be relegated. $325,000 going forward to the next round robin for Gold League. You also qualify for the North American Finals. You also qualify for the Challengers Rumble if you do well there. And on top of that, after all that qualifying, you potentially could go to the Global Finals. And that's all the great stuff that happens if you get past this round robin. Let's talk about what happens if you don't make it past the round robin.
Yeah, well,
you are relegated out of Gold League.
Yeah, you get dropped along with High Voltage. There would have been 2 slots dropped. However, with High Voltage disbanding, they take up one of the slots. Another team gets dropped out. They are gone at this point. Their only way back in, I believe, would be through a open qualifier to play the 7th place team before next season starts.
They got to wait a whole nother season. Anyways, let's get right into it. First map between Rival Simple Takers and 07 Gaming.
Himmelsdorf, a small city map. The teams start the battle in opposite corners. Both bases are located close to each other, but in a way that you can't stay on the defensive all the time. The main attack routes pass through the hill, the alley and the railroad, but in general, the attack can be successfully executed through any part of the map. Heavy tanks and tank destroyers with powerful guns run the show here. However, a lot depends on the mobile light tanks.
As we head into battle number 1, we see the tank lineups here, and just to say, there's a lot of purple happening on this field.
Out of both these teams. Yeah. Looking at the lineups, Rival bringing 3 215Bs, a 183, a Batchat, and a RU-251. Meanwhile, 07 bringing
so pretty.
2 215Bs, a 113, 250Bs, and E3 to 1390.
I gotta say, I definitely a little more of a fan of the white in the purple, but either way, it's a fabulous lineup.
Fabulous! So,
EXO already, wow, taking quite a bit of damage there.
And it looks like these 215Bs are heading back to the north, so Rival looking for early pick down in the south, realizing it's not coming and shifting back to the north. So some E63 actually choosing to stay here and look for some more shots.
This is more of a standard. Again, this is standard Himmels play that we've seen pretty much the entire season, aside from the pockets of surprises that we've had.
The biggest thing that I noticed there was the 1A3 backed away and then turned around, and the 215 was staying there, and now they're switching positions. And just some indecision out of Rival just off the get-go. Now, this is extremely nitpicky, but something to keep an eye on. Meanwhile, EXO did take a shot for around 800 damage in that 50B up on the hill, so I believe the 1A3 actually got a blind shot off on him.
Yeah, so Commodore making it down the hill, narrowly escaping a blind shot that could potentially, or almost did, end his good mood.
Yep, so the Batchat just holding at E1, just getting their eyes down south for Rival Simple Tankers. Meanwhile, Commodore is going to get here into this hold down and see the tank of flak. However, choosing not to fire a shot off, and he's going to very carefully back up to try to find a new shot.
And Executus in this 183 is going to be the tank to watch to see how much damage he can pour onto the field, because that 183 is a huge cannon.
So 183 taking another blind shot there towards the hill, but not connecting with anyone.
Shots again onto that E3. It's very difficult to get a good shot on it, as EXO now very early taking half of his HP in damage there. Is going to potentially look for a angle here on the alpha line, or he might just back it up and play safe and wait for the push here from the rest of his team coming in around C7.
Yeah, so 07 setting up to get some cap pressure going on the 2 cap. However, it is that they're still waiting on the 1390 of Fosta, who is now coming down off the hill, and I expect to see him either get on at A6 or down that south corner at B6. So we'll have to see. It looks like he's opting for A6 unless he makes the full loop and drops down the 8 line.
Oh, shot finding its way into Commodore now.
So at E3, the 1A3 just firing off a shot, landing that Hess shell. and just kind of softening up that E3 a little bit more, but he still has 1400 HP, so he's not going to be down just yet. And I do like this setup from 07. It's set up pretty well. I would like a little bit more of an emphasis on that Bravo line cross. They have that 1390 sitting up at A2. Anyone that wants to go get him is going to have to drive past that E3. And the 215Bs and this 50B sitting in the alley should have some shots across that cap. Might be able to sneak some shots in here. However, it's going to be a very narrow gap, and they at best get off probably one volley. Anything more than that would be Rival misplaying it.
Right.
No damage being traded, both teams here.
Oh, wow. So wait a second. It looks like Rival here is actually going to come around and see if they can get a flank on 07.
It's actually Commander J that's going to come around in the hill in that bat chat. He's going to flex up here.
This is big flank. This is a very big flank coming out of Commander J here.
However,
I like this little lineup, though, from 07, the way they're playing that.
However, it doesn't look like they haven't figured out they're there. They think they're there, but they're not moving within a range where they could proxy spot each other. And they're choosing just to back out now and reposition. And they do find the reset onto Fosta, or Fosta decided to get off cap. I'm not quite sure.
Yeah, because he's gone.
Yep, so he
went all the way up that A line, and now he's rounding the corner there right around B8.
And the thing to keep an eye on is Commander J is just holding up on the hill. If he chooses to poke over, he could catch the side of Commodore in that T110 E3. With Commodore already taking some damage, Commander J's clip would be enough to finish him off.
07 has to realize, though, and again, this is a pitfall we see a lot of teams kind of fall into. Look at the time, James, only 5 minutes already.
Yep. So Rival, just have to defend for another 5 minutes, and they'll win out this round. However, they are down on HP by about 1,700, so not out of the woods yet. Now, obviously, Executus can one shot will flip that HP from being skewed towards 07 to dead even, so something to keep an eye on there. And 07 just kind of don't really have any answers right now. They're kind of stuck, committed to this north cap. They can't really back out.
A shot on rocks, though, and nothing, unfortunately, for him.
Yep, so the thing is right now is they can't rotate out because they'll find Commander J in that bat chat, and he has enough in his clip to end EXO, who's already taken some damage. He's sitting down at 1,000 HP, but meanwhile, it looks like Unknown One and Coffee Thief are going to push around in the south. The 50B of...
Oh, nice shot there.
50B of E63 is sitting here in the courtyard looking for shots through the windows, and now it looks like 07 are going to make a move, moving towards the south, and they're trying to find his isolation. E63 does get some shots through that window, though.
These tanks now of Warbender, Makos, and Static. They have to be careful running this corner. Meanwhile, Fossa is taking a lot of damage. E63 is doing a good job of trying to find that angle and really just getting resets when he can. Commander J going to find shots as well. Flag taking quite a bit of damage. Commodore is trying to take him out in that E3. He is taking quite a bit from Commander J, though.
But it's Fossa that comes in behind and might find the kill on Fossa. He does, and now he's going to look for more shots onto Executus in that 183.
Executus taking down Fosta now. Static is going to round this corner, and he knows Executus is very low. He's got to be careful, though. He's going to get the shot. He needs to back up before he's taken down, and he does get back around the corner. That's 3 tanks there for Rival that they need to be very careful with, because here comes the flank. Makos and Rocks in the 113 and the 215. A lot of damage coming on a Coffee Thief. Unknown One taking a lot of damage now as E63 as well rounds the corner. Commander J taking out Static, but I fear that it may actually not be enough for Rival.
They're
but wait a second, they're clawing back into this indeed.
They have the gun advantage. Now, the HP is rather even. However, they have more guns alive. Now, they need to get Commander J in that bat chat involved.
They need to take out Coffee Thief right now. Like, he needs to go down right this second.
Commander J is just going to come in here and look for some shots.
E63 about to round that corner. This is about to be a terrible situation as Makos take out Coffee Thief. I fear it may have been a little too late, though.
They put Makos down to a one-shot, and Unknown One does finish him off. And now it's just all down to Rocks, who has 993 HP up against 3 tanks.
Flicks a shot off, and that's going to do it. Rival, that was actually a very good situation for 07, and Rival very impressively was able to turn it around in their favor.
Yep, so they managed to just avoid the guns from 07 for just long enough they could even it up. They found some isolations there on that cap. 07 went with that cheeky flank down around the south. And what ended up happening was they got some good early shots off, but Rival just had to pull forward into the cap. And once they got out of those guns from the south, they had that isolation there where they were actually up on HP and guns. They got those tanks down, and by the time...
That was very impressive, very intelligent as well.
Yeah, by the time those tanks from 07 got in all the way up that 5 line, it took them a good 15 seconds to get up there. And once they were there, the other tanks were already dead, and Rival just managed to turn it around.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, that's 1-0 for Rival, but if 07 loses this, they potentially could leave their fate in the hands of another team, which would be get flanked.
Yep. Well, either of these teams, if they lose rounds...
Oh, man! This is huge.
Both these teams,
the impact, the implications of this game are nuts to me.
Yeah, both these teams want to control their own destiny. They can only do that by winning. And looking at it, E63 coming in here with 4,300 damage, and Commander J next at 3K, and Makos leading off his team at 2,400. So E63, that 50B, he got off that great clip there at the end where he came in behind all of them. He was lurking around. The 3 guns were together in the north. He separated and caught those 2 tanks just completely isolated in that 5 line with nowhere to go, and got off 1,600 of his damage right then and there. Meanwhile, it was the rest of 07 down here on this second page. Rocks, Warbander, Static, and Fosta not really able to contribute a whole lot. However, Fosta, 900 and 1390, like to see more. However, he was using his cap pressure for most of it. He did pick up a kill there onto Flak, but overall just not able to do a whole lot.
Yeah, absolutely. So I gotta be honest. I'm impressed with Rival right now. As far as sure it was only the first game, but man, they really clawed back into that very well, and that's something, to be honest, that we haven't really seen them do all season. They haven't been able to make the comeback or really dig down and get deep to almost even get a battle. It's been very rough for Rival.
Yeah, well, even that Apex match, they got shut out of Apex 5-0, which is not something that you'd really expect out of Rival. If I recall, the last time they had played Noble last season, I think it was a 5-3 in favor of Noble, but it was a lot closer of a series.
Yeah, absolutely. So even still, this is what I've been wanting to see from Rival, honestly, the entire season. I really hope it's not a case of too little too late. We'll see if they can take a win off of 07 Gaming here, and if they do, that would be huge for them. Yep. But 07 is not going to take this line down either.
So looking at the lineups, Rival bringing 2 Bat Chats, 2 215Bs, an IS-7, a Bat Chat, and a RU-251. Meanwhile, 07 bringing 2 215Bs, 2 IS-4s, an AMX-50B, a TY-23, and a 1390.
Yep. So we are seeing 07 actually kind of moving towards the center, towards that 1 cap. And that 50B is actually making it all the way down the 1 line.
1390 just trying to see if he can spot anyone up that 3 line. However, he will not be that fortunate, and it's actually the 50B of Warbander shifting all the way down.
Yeah, he's pretty deep south right now.
And he's out there completely isolated. The only support he has is those 2 215Bs at D4.
Oh, wow. A shot on the Fosta as he is almost dead.
Yeah, took 2 shots there, and that AMX 1390 can only really eat. He only has enough to withstand 3 shells from these tier 10
Pub
guns.
Getting a bounce, though. Another one. Pub Whisper in the 1390. He needs, if we can, to take out Fosta. That would be huge right now.
Yep, so they Fosta a little bit lucky there. First the Bat Chats earlier tonight getting some crazy bounces. Now a shot bouncing off the side of a 1390.
You can't.
So what is
win.
this? Meanwhile, Pub Whisper and Commander J are going to back up and go retake the hill and join those 50Bs up on the 0 line. Meanwhile, it looks like Fosta is going to take the opportunity to get out of there, realizing that Pub Whisper has shifted away, and he's going to get out of there finally and reposition somewhere else. Meanwhile, these 215Bs pushing up the 8 line. And they should get up to the top relatively free.
Yep, there's really nothing to be contested here.
Yeah, nothing to look at is 07 are dug in so hard on this 2 cap. It's going to be very hard to dig them out. They have an IS-4 at A5. They have another IS-4 on the clock tower.
I guess that's why, I was a little confused at first because we usually don't see teams try to cover both, but it makes sense because, again, on that 2 cap, they have the perfect tanks to really be hold down.
Yeah, hold down and or side scrape. The problem is that they can slowly 1 by 1 isolate them if they figure out where they are. That IS-4 at A5 in theory could be dug out from the 5 line. It's a little bit tough because TT has pretty good cover. However, then from there, you can isolate the IS-4 over on a 6. However, that's not to say that the rest of the team won't adjust and try to find some extra angles on that 5 line. So once again, we say A line or 5 line, and what we're referring to as the coordinates on the map. The A line is across horizontally, so A1, A2, A3, that's the A line all the way across from A1 to A0, and the same thing all the way down. So like the G line is straight across there, G4, G5, etc. And then same thing down from the top to bottom, the 1 line, the 2 line, the 3 line, etc. So the 5 line, what I'm talking about there is that gap from B5 to D5, that little alley there where 07 got caught out last round. If they can get tanks into there for free, they can put up their sides up against the left wall, and they can shoot towards that IS-4 on the clock tower. Now that's what the IS-4 at A5 is there to stop, is to get some shots on there. So if they try to push around and isolate him, they get punished as well. So it's just, a bunch of guns overlapping. Meanwhile, the U3 is sitting here to shoot across the Bravo line to shut that down. And Coffee Thief and I believe Commander J are sitting up there, as well as E63.
And it looks like we might actually finally get some cap pressure here started. It's going to be Pub Whisper on that corner there of B7. This is the most common cap pressure spot I've seen all season on this map of Himmels.
Yep, and it's actually Exo that's just sitting here. He will ever so slightly try to shift out and get some angle onto that 1390.
I gotta be honest though, it doesn't look like there's a lot of support for that 1390 there. So this, isn't this kind of risky?
Yeah, the only thing they have is that 215B is looking
yeah,
over his shoulder.
What I'm saying. It doesn't look like it's enough.
Now, something we used to see a while ago is what teams would do is they'd use a moving bunker essentially, and they'd park a tier 6 back when 754 normally was a T37. They'd park it sideways across in front.
Or like, the OHO of what we've seen before,
Yeah.
something like that.
But
Okay.
the biggest difference there is that you sign like a T37 where the T37 is useful in more than one way. If they need it to scout, it can go scout, and if they want to throw it away to be a bunker, it can, because it was a rather large light tank. However, the OHO, it takes forever to get in place.
Yeah, we saw that fail.
They couldn't even get it to the cap.
Yeah.
And so T37 provides a little bit more practicality. Now, obviously, they could even use a T37 in theory
Just
if they wanted
note,
to.
by the way, 5 minutes left, so time is dwindling down, and this cap pressure is no closer to getting down to 0 than the clock is to.
You can see the marks on the ground there from the HE shells that Exo's firing, trying to get the splash onto the
it's
tracks of
working.
Pub Whisper. And there's another one. He does get the reset finally, just hitting off to the side. He doesn't even actually hit the tank, but the HE shell landing just close enough disables the track, which in turn resets the cap.
Okay, now we see a little movement here coming out of Coffee Thief and Commander J. Both autoloaders. You have a Batshot and a 50B. Batshot, of course, being a medium, and the AMX 50B being a heavy French autoloader.
Yep, absolutely. And this 50B and Batshot deciding to regroup with the rest of the team. Kind of interested to see.
Yeah, I don't know what's going to happen here. What's going to happen, James?
My gut says they're going to go for that 5 line like I was talking about and make some sort of push out of there. We may also see some sort of hard push up the 3 line.
This is very peculiar, I'll
So
say.
he's going to shift out. If they're doing what I think they're doing, he's going to shift out towards the 1 line. They'll probably start pushing up the 5 line here or go all the way over to the 3 line. And when they do that, what will happen is the 1390 can come in a little bit late down the 1 line and open up some side shots on the guns that are shooting these tanks. And they're doing exactly that. They're pushing in towards the 5 line here, and the 1390 is just trying to come up the 3 line here and maybe all the way out to the 1 line, which looks like it's going to be the case. However, Flak does find
Shots
Makos.
on the flag, finally. They're going to take a shot onto him, but again, the IS-4 is in a very good position right now to be held down. Time is running out, 3 minutes left. Flak taking a lot of damage, but so is Warbender. In fact, he's going to go down a Coffee Thief first, and Flak is going to stay alive. Just kidding. Flak is going to go down. Static taking him down on the 215B.
The 1390s.
All the 1390s, we're going to have a
dueling
little
over
battle.
the 1 cap. It's actually going to be Pub Whisper that comes out on top
very
there.
quickly, too, I might add.
So, meanwhile, they're back, still fighting over this cap. Rival are kind of backing out of the 5 line.
They're going to make their way to that 1 cap. I see now putting pressure on the 2 cap, and then immediately once they took out the 1 tank they knew was there, they are now free to keep pressure. And I like that they're not rotating every single tank towards that 1 cap. They're still applying this pressure here to the team of 07, and they're also applying pressure at the 1 cap. This is very good split. This is one of the few cases of split play I've seen that I actually am 100% in agreement with.
Yeah, so what they did is they forced the tanks from 07 to shift towards that cap.
And Commander J, by the way, is going to be an amazing position here to punish.
Yeah, and with that auto loader, he's going to be able to pump out a lot of shells. However, the 215s are going to split up. One's going to go deal with Commander J, and one's going to go towards cap. Oh, actually,
Nice
I stand
shot.
corrected.
Never mind. Static is actually going to go into the railway station there, as now it's down to Rocks to take care of Commander J. Meanwhile, Pub Whisper is also trying to fire some shots to help out his teammate. Lots of damage coming onto Rocks now, and this is not good for Rocks at all.
Commander J is trying to get out of there, driving away, and he should be almost out of shots. However, Rocks doesn't know where to go.
In a bad position, and now we have double cap pressure. Very interesting from Team Rival.
Unknown one using the little cubby here, shooting up towards
nice
the top
reset
corner.
though. 1 minute 33 seconds.
Well, they're just
James.
They're just resetting. I believe it's Coffee Thief off in the distance there. They haven't actually found a reset on Pub Whisper, and now Commander J is going to be loaded here in just a minute, and he should be able to clean out Rocks.
One shot, one more. Unknown one, though, is going to take out Exo. Coffee Thief is going to take out Static, and Commander J is going to take out Rocks. And this is going to go in favor of Rival 2-0. This is the Rival that I've been waiting to see.
Yep, finally getting things together. Very clever strat there. Made 07 make multiple rotations. They pulled them away from the cap they really wanted, and then they were able to switch over to the other one. So just a bait and switch, essentially.
They literally made 07 Gaming play their game. They're like, you know what, you're going to do this. And you're going to play here, you're going to rotate here, and it worked 100% Rival. That was impressive.
What I like out of Rival there is they showed that they had multiple plans finally for so far this season.
Yeah, they've
Rival,
been very linear.
Yeah, they open up with one play, and when it doesn't work, they really struggle to figure out what to do after that. And this, they kind of showed, all right, we're going to go for this cap. If it doesn't work, then we're going to make them, think we're still going for it and shift around.
I mean, what if that was part of the play the whole time, though?
Well, more than likely it was. Well, so here's the thing: is the way that strat set up, you can't really know. So they could have stayed there and held that one cap and tried to get it, but once they knew that they couldn't get that cap out, then they went to plan B, and when they still had time, so they were able to go get that isolation.
And Rival of old probably would have stayed there, and then that's where we've seen Rival take unfavorable fights and lose.
Yep, so they probably just might have gotten a little bit frustrated and sat there arguing over which way they should go, and not really any sort of team unity. This showed they have a plan, and they made quick rotations, and I am a fan of it. Meanwhile, Executus coming in here at the 50B at 3,100, Commander J at the Bad Chat at 2,800, and then E63 putting up another 2,500. Top of the team for 07 is Exo, coming in there with 2,300 in the IS4, able to play off that clock tower pretty well. And then Mako's also put up another 1,200. Meanwhile, second page, another one that IS7, 1,600, and then all the way down at the bottom are the 1390s. Fosta, though, was already low on HP from that opening play where he lost a lot of HP. Pub Whisper
cleaned him up real nice.
Yeah, he did. To be fair, Pub Whisper had the extra shots that he could eat, and so he got in there, traded them out, and made sure that Fosta went down. And then from that point, it opened up that cap, and that's when Rival just made that switch that I was talking about.
And it worked out. So Rival is actually up 2-0. I think for the first time this season that we've seen on broadcast, they're actually in the lead.
In a while, yeah. No, they've definitely been struggling so far, and
this is cool to see, man. This is exactly what I want to see. So it's going to be very interesting to look at the response from 07, because 07 is I mean, they've done well in the season as far as the broadcasts go.
Yep.
I'm pretty sure they 5-0'd. Was it get flanked?
Yeah, it sounds about right. Well, that was a non-broadcast match, but Rival have had some pretty good results online, but they've also had some pretty lopsided matches, as it were.
Right.
Which is why they're actually still in relegation, the relegation window along with Rival. So, pretty much any of these three teams really could go home depending on these results.
Relegation's tough, man.
Yep. So
I mean, not for us.
Well,
we're just sitting here, but for these teams, again, this is crunch time.
Now, the other thing to think about is Rival need 4 points to be safe. So even a win tonight doesn't completely guarantee them safety if they don't pick up any points on the last match
Rival's
day. Which,
next game,
looking down at the notes, Rival will be playing Deja Vu on their last match day, which Deja Vu's been playing very well. So that's going to be some tough points. So, if they don't pick up any points, Get Flanked has
Interesting.
high.
So even if they win tonight,
this will be a big step in the right direction.
But they're still not even safe.
Yeah, they need 4 points over the next 2 days.
Oh, my goodness. Which then would put 07 in a bad situation and Rival in a bad situation.
Yep. Could go any number of ways right now.
Let's just get into the very next map of Rival and 07.
Mines, a small summertime map with lots of hills, rocks and other cover. The teams start the battle in the usual locations, but the base locations are different. One is located in the bottom part of the village, and the other one is in the water. One of the key objectives is the center hill. That's why the teams will often select fast vehicles and tanks with strong turrets for cover.
Map number 2 is going to indeed be Mines. We see Rival bringing in a 113 as well as a TVP, 2 TVPs, 3 bat chats, and an RU-251.
Meanwhile, 07 bringing 3 bat chats, an E100, 2 Tier 9 bat chats, and a TVP of their own. So that E100 so often has been used as just kind of that bunker tank sitting at G6 to get the proc
literally
there
where
on the
it
hill.
sits every time.
Yep, and to be fair, there's not a whole lot of places they can bring it. And that's kind of why I'm not a big fan of bringing it, especially on defense, is because it's all right. It's going to be sitting there, so the team already knows like they can't really do a whole lot.
We are lining up here for a nice little battle between the bat chats of both teams here. As Unknown One is just going to push right over the corner. He's got to be careful as his team now slows down behind him. Commander J and Executus right behind. So this, I mean, this Mines we've seen played so many different ways this season already, and then we also saw Fulcrus delete, I believe it was Chase in the M40-43 duels where Chase didn't even fire a shot. So we're not going to see that here, and this definitely looks to be a slower type of gameplay style coming out of the defense. Actually, the defense, I was going to say, from 07 seems a little more aggressive.
Now, another thing to keep an eye on is look at Rival. They're making this play back towards the hill. They're climbing in here, and they may find Fosta, the 2 TVPs, joining them. So they could find his isolation on this Tier 9 bat, and he doesn't even know they're coming up on him yet.
Oh, no. Meanwhile, Rox, I mean, he's not in the most favorable position either.
G63 is going to take a lot of shots from the south.
Oh, he's going to go down to Makos. Meanwhile, Flat gets taken down by Fosta, and he's going to get tracked.
Pub Whisper finding some shots on Exo, and now all sorts of hell breaking loose. Pub Whisper down there, low on HP. Meanwhile, Commander J off down here, got focused out and lost a lot of his HP.
Yeah, quite a bit of it.
Even trades going back and forth. However, 07 are up on HP by a lot, and they do find the kill onto Flak.
Executus, Unknown One, and Commander J are trying to get over this hill so they can potentially take out Rocks. You got to be careful, though. The positioning from Warbender and Makos is excellent to punish that. Unknown One is going to take down Rocks in the bat shot to the bat shot Tier 9. Meanwhile, the TVP of Pub Whisper is going to take out Static and another autoloader, which is the bat shot. And this actually has been quite an aggressive battle as opposed to what I said, because normally we've actually seen both of these teams play very slow, but Unknown One is going to take out Exo. And now, once again, Rival is doing very well. Although the HP pool advantage is not in their favor, they are up a tank. As I say that, that tank is gone. In fact, Warbender is going to clean up 2 now.
And the snapshot missing Coffee Thief as Commodore just eats a full clip from Pub Whisper. Pub Whisper is going to start to reload. And now
Coffee Thief in that 251 is in a bad spot. Not a lot of alpha on that gun. Obviously, it is a Tier 8 light, and it looks like 07 is going to be able to take this and clean it up as they now set their eyes on Pub Whisper.
Looking for a shot on Namakos and coming up a little bit short there.
Yeah, so again, we've seen mostly slow play from these teams on this map, and that's kind of what I was expecting, but very aggressively, all the bat chats from both teams headed right down to the 1-2 line south west of the map. If you look down at the postcodes there on the bottom right mini map, they were all set up right there in the southwest.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And, you know, now Pub Whisper just all by himself, 1,000 HP, up against 3,381 HP in the side of 07.
Yeah, and one of those is an E100, which is very well armored, so I don't see...
If he
Pub
pens
Whisper,
all 4 of his shots, he can kill him in one clip.
If. That's a big if.
Big if, and that even then he'd need some high rolls.
Yeah, and he still needs to deal with Warbender, which is also a TVP, as well as Makos, so tall order.
Yep, he is going to push up here. He might find the rear of Commodore, which, once again, he needs some high rolls to maybe set him on fire to make this work.
1, 2, none of those were high rolls.
And
in fact, that's a bounce.
2 bounced.
And good night. I'm sorry. I wanted to make the explosions. I thought it was pretty good.
So that makes it 2
Maybe
to
that
1.
could be a DLC pack, my sound effect.
Oh, MLG mod pack, what?
No.
But anyways, 07 coming up pretty big there.
Finally scraping together a round for themselves.
I really like
battle.
I really like that focus fire on E63 as he pushed up towards the hill there.
That was very good.
And he was able to, he got off. He was shooting at Fosta up there trying to shoot in the south. And once they spotted him, all the guns from the south were able to turn around and had clean shots towards the hill.
Correct.
As well as that E100, and they just focused him out, knocked him down. And, from there, it just it went back and forth for a little bit. Yeah. Rival did a good job clawing back into that for a little while. And then 07 kind of got their guns again. Once they got all their autoloaders onto their clip again, they got reloaded. They were able to claw back into it and take more of the guns out for Rival. And it kind of just left them, with nowhere to go. Meanwhile, Pub Whisper coming in here at 3,100. Meanwhile, the next 4 belong to 07. Warbander, Makos, Exo, Commodore, all coming in there. The U100 doing 2,100 after 7 fired. So, 2,100 is about 3 shots worth of damage. So you'd like to see a little bit more out of that E100. However, like I said, it's a very big, slow tank, not able to flex around a whole lot.
I feel like he did his job.
Yeah, well, yeah, to an extent. To an extent.
Yeah, I was like, wait, kind of.
Once again, though, there are other options that are a little bit more flexible that you can bring that might have been able to get his gun into the fight a little bit more frequently. And, when he was sitting there at the end trying to be a HP pinata, essentially, and Pub Whisper, failed to penetrate a couple of those shots.
Yeah.
Once again, though, at that point, it didn't really matter. So it was kind of, too little,
fair.
Too late.
Very fair. Yeah, so, I mean, good to 07, though, finally bringing the game back. Again, their focus fire was amazing, I got to say. But we'll have to see what the response from Rival is. And that's the really interesting thing is finally Rival has lost a battle. So what is their response going to be? How are they going to come back? So far tonight, they've been pretty consistent. They've been doing well, much better than we've honestly seen pretty much over the entire season. And that's not to take a knock on them. It's just how it's been. Rival have not been strong this season for whatever reason.
Yep, and you kind of wonder if they drop around, how much is the tilt going to creep in with the rest of their team? Are they going to kind of fall back into old habits and kind of struggle here? Will 07 start picking things up? It's just something you just kind of worry about.
It's exciting.
Or wonder about, anyways.
Yep. Well, James, that's going to bring us right into the 4th battle of the night between Rival and 07. And, of course, we are going to be staying on mines. I'm just going to take a peek at the next map without spoiling it. Interesting. We haven't seen that map yet tonight. I'll leave that up to the imaginations of our viewers to guess which it is. Although it's not a huge deal. They can probably just look it up, but that's not what's important right now.
So a fun lineup here out of both teams that we'll go over in just one moment. And looking at it, Rival bringing a 215B, 2 TVPs, 3 bat jets, and a T49.
I love that freaking tank, man.
Meanwhile, 07
I love that tank.
Bringing 2 113s, 3 bat chats, a TVP, and a M4043.
So we're going to see an Artie. I love that tank so much. I don't know why.
Unfortunately, it's not going to be super effective because he's sitting here looking for a shot towards the hill. However, 07 aren't even interested in taking it to this point. All 3 of the bat chats for Rival pushing up onto the hill, taking 1 shot of damage for their troubles.
Ooh, shots fired. No, nothing connecting, though.
And these 113s holding in the north. The artillery's got all the way up to that corner at A1. And the thing to look at with how Rival are playing right now is if they want to cover each other, they're going to have to move to positions where they're going to be hit by Artie, or Artie can't hit them for that matter. And
again, that's the threat of having an artillery. Sometimes it doesn't even do any damage.
Mm-hmm. And the T49 of Coffee Thief is actually going to rotate down across the kilo line and try to get over towards Kilo 4 down there, maybe find some shots onto the bat chat or at least spot them. Meanwhile, artillery landing a nice big shot there onto E63 for about 700.
And sometimes Artie does do damage. Yep. It's completely dependent. But again, the threat is real, and that's why Static is now going to take a few shots taken at him. But luckily, no connections for him. Now, the one thing about the T49 that I love is the damage that gun does. However, man, that thing is not accurate.
Oh, no, not
at all. Like, really? It's not accurate at all.
Get point blank.
It's a shotgun.
Along
That's
the
literally
sides.
what it is.
It's the closest thing we have in this game to a shotgun. Get point blank, get along the sides to something soft, and do a lot of damage.
Yeah. And that thing, I mean, it can hit up to 900 alpha, can it? I'm pretty sure I've done 800 at least with that.
Yeah, I believe the alpha, I am actually not positive. I believe the alpha on the HE shells is, I want to say 750. I have to double check on that one, to be honest.
But I mean, I have personally done at least 800, so I know it can do that.
Yeah, it does a good bit of damage. Well, and with a high roll, once you have a gun with alpha up, 750 and up, they can do a whole lot of damage, even up to 900
nice
at the high roll.
shot though from Executus though on a Roxanne at 113. So that is something to note. Again, with these bat chats, if you are playing against them, whether you're in pub or wherever, it's always good to count those shots. So that is one shot. 4 left in the clip of a bat chat.
Commander J just chilling out here in the north, looking for some sort of rotate out of 07. And once again, with Rival controlling this hill, it's going to make movement out of 07 very, very difficult. They can't shift anywhere without being spotted, essentially, at this point.
This is a very constricting defense here, and unorthodox, honestly.
We haven't...
from what I've seen this season.
Yeah, these are some defenses that we saw a lot back in the 754 days, and even before that, occasionally in the 742 days, we saw some similar defenses, not identical, but similar. And, like I said, all it does is it splits the map in half. Essentially, Rival control everything from the 4-line west right now, and or 4-line east, excuse me. And, just looking at it, 07 are just stuck here on the water side. There's, they have a tank all the way committed down in the south. And if they want to try to break it, they have to group up and get to one side, which right now they aren't anywhere close to doing.
Oh, nice shot over Makos there. Makos is dangerously close to getting taken down, and again, I'm not even saying it to slight you anymore. If you guys hear me say dangerously close, it's not a slight on James or his team. It's just a very appropriate term for this game. So I'm sorry.
Mako's
I'm
down.
sorry.
Mako's down to one-shotter at 157. But meanwhile, still 07 failing to really group up anything, and they're running out of time, down to 5 minutes.
Yeah, very good situation for Rival, not so much for Team 07, and Rivals they're playing very well tonight.
Yep, so the biggest thing to look at here is 07 essentially need to get all their guns onto one side. If they keep running this split where they have guns, down here, they have guns up here, they don't have any of their forces really massed up where they can make a decisive push. And to be fair, Rival are set up very well to receive it. If they mass up and push through here, this bat chat will spot them. And so even if they don't engage them, it gives all these tanks down in the south time to get up to the north. And it's the same thing on the south. The T-49 down here in the south will spot any sort of push coming out of here or here, and the guns can just come down here, get to this part of the hill, get down here, and they can punish them. And so it's a difficult situation to be in 07. They've kind of just left themselves in this situation where they don't have a whole lot of places to go.
Again, like I said, very constricting defense here from Rival, as they're getting incredibly close to closing this one out. Even though with 4 minutes left, Rival is not only leading in the HP pool lead, but as well as guns up.
Yep. So Rival or 07's best bet at this point is they need to give some sort of misdirection to Rival. They need to get some tank spotted on one weak side somewhere, or maybe 2 tanks, and try to get them to shift tanks up there, thinking that's where the push is going to come from, and then move the rest of the tanks to the other side and make that push on one end where they hopefully have an overmatch. It's they have to create their own overmatch essentially at this point. An overmatch,
which is going to be difficult to do.
Yeah, and an
Very
overmatch
difficult.
for those not familiar with the term is where you have more guns in one area than the other team. So if one team has 2 guns there and the other team brings 4, the team with
3
4
or
has
4,
the
right.
overmatch on the other team. And that's key in this game and calling decisively. Meanwhile, Rival actually making a very decisive push up across the north, where they do take out Makos finally.
Yep.
Warbender falls off the hill.
And Rox and Commodore have taken some damage, but honestly not too much.
Commander J actually gets up into the A3 ledge.
Interesting. So he's going to have a big flank here. And he also has that M40-43 to potentially take out if he can spot him. Exo is kind of stuck down behind as well to potentially play for that M4043, but he's looking for shots, and he's taking them, and I believe he just got a shot on the Commodore, or if I'm not mistaken, Rocks. They're still taking damage, but that is now 15 seconds. And now only 10 seconds left on Cap. With 2 minutes left, 07 desperately needs this to work. That tank comes down from E63 in the TVP. He's going to get the resets necessary. He may have thrown himself away, but for good reason. That reset was absolutely necessary.
And how he's still alive is beyond me. He did get behind that rock.
I was going to say, how is he still living?
So now Commander J does find some good shots onto EXO here.
Still, the HP pool advantage has actually shifted to 07. Never mind. I did not realize that Flak was so low in that 215B, but Coffee Thief in the T49, what a shot. I'm surprised that he landed that. That distance was incredible. Flak taking out Static. Now the HP pool advantage is in the favor of Rival as Warbender is about to go down, and there it is, and Rival looks like they're about to clean this up and take their third battle in this series against 07.
And as you alluded to earlier, the third map that we are going to see tonight is not one map that we have not actually seen so far tonight.
Correct.
And it's a map historically Rival
we'll just talk about it. It's Prok.
It's Prokhorovka, and it's a map that Rival, formerly known as Simple Tankers, have a lot of experience on it. They used to play it a lot back in the 742 days, and it's a map that they've been pretty strong on throughout time. And so they could potentially close out the series 5-1 on Prokhorovka.
Yeah, on a map that, like you said, they're very comfortable on. And even there, Rival did a very good job of, although the defense was pretty spread, it was very suffocating, and it was difficult for 07 to deal with. And again, Commander J getting all the way north, that was a great play by him. He had free shots on a couple of the tanks from 07, and it paid off.
Yeah, now I got a question. It was a little. Now you said it was a great play from Commander J to push across the north there.
I think it was. It was risky.
That's what I was going to get to.
But it paid off.
I felt like it was a little bit unnecessary to a point. You know, that they pushed in there, they risked that, and they risked some of their bad shots in the north. Now they did get the kill on Makos finally, who was a one-shotter.
Right.
However,
but did it work?
Yeah. Well, the thing is if they all got spotted on the north, far away from main force,
sucked.
Then all of a sudden 07 were in a decent position to just push south them, where they would have had their own overmatch. So looking at it, Pub Whisperer playing that TVP again, putting up 2,900 damage. He's been playing pretty well tonight. EXO 407 able to do 2,700.
Yes, EXO doing 2,700, and then Commander J coming in for Rival as well, doing 2,400, and then Static. So it was a pretty even split of the top of the damage. Pub Whisper, then EXO, then Commander J, then Static, then Foster, then Flak. So damage was pretty evenly spread across both teams. As we get to the bottom, even so it can be said, where Commodore and Warbender followed by Unknown One and Executives. Meanwhile, Rox and Makos not getting anything really done whatsoever. I mean, Rox was sitting on cap, though, for the team of 07. But this is a Rival that, I'll be honest, like I said, I haven't seen at all. This is a Rival that I was told to expect. Honestly, actually, to be fair to Rival, the Rival I was told to expect from you, as well as some other people in the community, is actually better than Rival we're seeing now, which is a much more cleaned up version of the team.
Yep, and I was actually talking with Tofu Smurf earlier in the season, and he felt that it was really Rival's third place position to lose going into this. So, a lot of people felt that Rival should be performing a lot stronger than they were. And anything less than that was squarely on their shoulders. And so far, that's pretty much what we've seen, is them just struggling off and on, just not really able to really get those points consistently. And they've even struggled versus some of the lower teams. For example, they get flanked.
Good flank beat him in the very first match,
Yeah, and I say Rival struggling against some of those lower teams. However, they are a lower team at this point. It's kind of a weird thing to be saying.
Yeah, but again, 07 needs to make something happen, as they are getting close to being put in that situation where they have no control. So let's go ahead into the third map between Rival and 07 Gaming.
Prokhorovka, one of the first maps in the game. Teams start at the regular spawn points, as they do in standard battles. Bases are separated from each other by the railway, so the defending team has to choose whether to send their vehicles to the left side, playing them in the centre, or to the right of the railway, occupying the hill and a part of the village. The attacking team usually attacks the first base. However, the teams often go for face-to-face confrontations, 7-on-7, in the hilly terrain at the centre. That's why both teams frequently use vehicles with good gun depression angles and sturdy turrets.
And so often I say teams go and just pick one of everything, and that's pretty much what 07 has done. An IS-7, a 113, an STB, a grill, and then the 2 Tier 9 batch. That's the only thing they're bringing 2 of. Meanwhile, Rival bringing 2 T125s, an IS-7, 2 140s, a Batchat, and an RU-251 of their own.
So, again, to reiterate, 07 is behind, and we haven't seen Rival ahead really at all this season. 07 cannot afford to lose this unless they want to pretty much take a bet on whether they're going to stay in the league or not.
Realistically, neither of these teams can afford
but
to drop
07
points
is
here.
down.
07's definitely down. And the thing is,
and this is
if they lose, it's entirely up to Get Flanked. If Get Flanked don't pick up any rounds, then 07's fine, even with a loss on their last match day. However, if Get Flanked managed to pick up 2 points or more, all of a sudden it's going to be 07 going down on the last match day.
Right. And again, like you said, this is historically a map for Rival. This has been Rival's map.
This has been one of the maps where they've always played very well on. They have a lot of experience.
What about 07? How have they done here?
07 have kind of struggled off and on over the seasons. I remember watching some matches versus, I believe it was High Voltage on this map last season. They kind of struggled a little bit. And to be fair, it's kind of expected. They did bring a couple cheesy straps that I was a big fan of. I believe at one point they were bringing a T110E3 and leaving it at A5, just hold down back there, and then having the rest of the team just be a normal lineup to flex around. But that one T110E3 really made it hard for teams to move. And so that was kind of an interesting strat, but people found ways to break it rather quickly.
And we do find Rival here on defense, so it's going to be very interesting to see how the team of 07 tries to break that. Now we see 4 of the tanks of 07 still actually quite south, one of which being the Batchat over there at G0, potentially getting lights or just waiting up top to see if he can get any shots off.
And it's actually Executus up at C1 that has some shots in the middle here, so if Warbander pokes over, he might get some free shots off, just missing there though. And they do have that RU-251, a Pub Whisper, in a bush just in front of Executus, so they will have time to get out of there. And then it's Unknown One in the 140 all the way back at A2 that also has some shots over there. So a very spread defense.
This is also something I expected, a much slower game, simply because Rival knows where they're at as far as the series goes. Wow, now I'm catching James syndrome. I can't speak English. Rival knows where they're at in the series, and 07 knows that they are behind in the series. So I don't see one team necessarily just rushing the field.
Yeah, no, exactly. And Commander J down here in the south, he's going to make it hard for them to get on that 2 cap for free. And the heavy tanks for Rival are actually shifting over towards this 6th line. One defense we used to see a lot of was they'd leave one IS-7 sitting somewhere around this 5 line, and then they'd push everything over towards the 8-9 line. Now, the mediums aren't moving over from the 1 line, so it doesn't look like they're going to go for that. However, they are putting all their heavy tanks up against this 6th line where they can get prox lights towards that cap. They should be able to get their guns down high enough to actually get some shots, or at least light that cap, which is what it looks like Flak is trying to do right now.
And now we actually see all of Team 07, aside from pretty much Warbander. I believe that's Rocks, sitting on the east side of the tracks here.
Yep, and Commander J repoking back up in the south as Coffee Thief looks in the middle. And Rival choosing to go with a very passive defense here. That RU-251 hasn't actually moved at all. And so they don't quite know exactly where these guns are for 07. Now, they could push that RU down there and really expand some map control. Now, it is risky because if they had something lurking down there like a Batchat or whatnot, he would go down. However, in the situation they're in right now, if Batchat pushes down there, he's going to kill the RU-251, and then he's going to have shots on the rears of those heavy tanks along the 6th line. So, maybe they need to commit some forces real quick to make sure they go and get, they establish map control. They want to clear the rest of this west side so they know that there's no tanks here, and they can just focus towards the 2 cap. So Exo is actually sitting up on the hill, sitting around F0, so he'll have some shots if Coffee Thief sticks his neck out too far.
A nice shot on the Makos, though, from Commander J. Just a quick snap over the railroad tracks.
Yep, and now this is what I was talking about, that RU-251 deciding to clear the 2 line. So there's no longer tanks in the south, and I expect them to hold passive somewhere down in the south end here around Juliet 5, Juliet 7, somewhere in that bottom corner. Well, the rest of the team focuses on the north. However, he's actually not even going to hold. He's not going to find a passive bush. He's just going to leave. They know that there's no tanks down there. Now, this is risky because 07 could rotate out. They could move tanks down around the south and still get in behind. However, for now, they know there's nothing there, and so they can relax a little bit.
Finally, some cap pressure starting here for the team of 07, but I can't imagine it's going to be anything that's going to stay, as that was literally just a bat shot hovering over. But that's honestly the most kind of action we've had so far.
Yep, and only 4 minutes left on the
Yeah,
clock.
that's what
It's
I'm
up
saying.
to 07 to make a move here soon.
This slow offense is not going to work out, especially when there's still 7 guns alive for both teams.
Fosta connecting on flag.
Yeah, not a bad shot, but really not much in the grand scheme of things.
So this kind of just leaves Rival in an odd situation where they need to just hold out for another 3 minutes.
Yep,
and it's up to 07 to
almost
break
no
it.
pressure on Rival right now.
But exactly, that's what I was getting to. Is Rival, they don't really even need to move anywhere. It's up to Rival to find this opening. However, a lot of these tanks positioning over here, the Batchat and STB, do get spotted. 262A. So it looks like they're about to make a push over the train tracks into the bottom half here in the F line, and they will find that RU-251 of Pub Whisper.
Yep, and we also see Coffee Thief here right over that ridge line, ready to take shots. Makos is going to have to back off. Rox is going to make it, though, as he charges towards that RU-251 of Pub Whisper.
And Exo coming around there, putting a shot into Coffee Thief, but low rolls for 600. A little bit unlucky there.
E63 is going to take out Commodore, and Commander J is going to take out Makos. So the defense of Rival was perfectly set up for this. But wait a second, Exo and Static each respectively getting kills on tanks. Meanwhile, Executives to the 140 finding a shot onto the Exo. That Grill 15 is going to go down. The Coffee Thief should be going down, although that armor is very good in the front. That's where he's taking the majority of these shots from.
Yep, and once again, Rival just sitting in the driving seat in this match. They don't have too much pressure on them.
Yeah, and they have control. They're not losing that.
They weathered that push very well. They were set up for it. They understood where the main points 07 could come from, and they were able to punish them. The 113 first popped over, took a lot of damage. Warbanded took a good bit when he's sitting there trying to poke, and then Exo, went over there assuming he was going to use a shot, tried to put a shot into Coffee Thief a second time.
And Rox is going to take out Coffee Thief, but then Unknown is going to take out Static, and this is now a 3-on-2 with Warbender being pretty much non-existent, and as I say that, he goes down. So Rival is going to pick up their 4th battle victory over 07. It is now 4-1 in favor of Rival, something that I have not said at all this season. In fact, saying anything as far as any over-underage for Rival. And this is really good to see. I feel like it's too late. Obviously, they still have a chance of not getting relegated. But, man, they could have saved themselves a lot of grief by just not making it come to this point. I mean, they just did not play well over the season for whatever reason it was.
Yep. So, and I mean, the thing to keep in mind here is one more win puts Rival on 3 points, which means they only need 1 point on that last match day to guarantee their safety. Meanwhile, that would leave 07 just 1 point above Get Flanked, and so that would leave 07 having to fight for their life versus Eclipse.
Right.
And if Get Flanked pick up anything versus High, that would leave 07 in a bad situation. However, if Get Flanked don't pick up anything, they just go down by themselves.
So many variables. Unknown one, as we look at the damage, though, in that 140 doing a 3,100 damage. Rock's doing about 3K, and then we see Executives, Flak, and Coffee Thief all doing quite a bit of damage. And then 07, unfortunately, aside from Rock's, kind of drop off there.
Certainly. And then the second page here, Commander J, E63, and Pub Whisper coming in for Rival. Pub Whisper was passive for the most part on that RE-251, so didn't really have a whole lot of chances to get off any damage. Commander J got through what looks like about a clip and then 1 extra shot, but it was just when they made that initial push, he was able to kind of help weather it, get the damage off, and then Fosta and Commodore just got focused out before they could really get their clips involved.
So, I mean, again, this is nice to see from Rival.
Yep,
However,
different side that we haven't really seen
this is
this
not so
season.
nice to see from 07 because they've actually made quite a few mistakes. And 07 has been, for the most part, one of the more consistent teams.
They've had a lot of ups and downs, which is why they're only on 8 points right now. You got to remember that. So, they've had some good wins. They've also had a lot of losses.
They've been more consistent than get flanked and Rival is what I was getting at.
Yeah,
So
true, and they did put up some good points versus Apex, but didn't get the win.
Absolutely. That's what I'm saying.
So they are doing their homework, but just coming up short each time. And right now, their backs are against the wall against Rival. And like I said, if they can't pick up points tonight, that's going to leave 07 pretty much dependent upon the results of the get flanked match.
You never want to be in the situation where you have to basically hope and pray that someone loses or someone wins.
Yeah, or even then you have to, if you want to fight for your own safety, you got to beat Eclipse. Good luck with that.
Yeah, that's unfortunate.
So, it's just a situation that you just don't want to be in. And, to be fair, it's, each of these teams that are in these positions, they've gotten themselves into these positions.
Right.
It's
not our fault. It's not Eclipse's fault. It's their fault. They have, for whatever reason, been underperforming, and they are now stuck in the position that they're in. So it's...
Yep, got to fight for the lives. Stay in here. You drop down. That's, no longer you have that shot to play for the $325,000 prize pool. You don't have a shot to go to the Challengers Rumble later. And then even then, the Global Grand Finals after that, you got to requalify for the Gold League. There's just so many different...
and more, and then you start thinking about that, and you're just like, man, I really wish we didn't get relegated out of the Gold League.
Yep, so definitely would be a little bit unfortunate. However, we are going to be going into battle number 6, which is going to be on Prokhorovka
going to be
again.
on Prok, and then the next map we would see if 07 ends up squeezing it out is actually going to be Ruinberg. And then, like we said, the overtime map of the day was Cliff.
Now, the other thing to look at here, say 07 do pick up the win here and they force on to the next map. They have defense on Ruinberg first. So that'd be another round that you would have to favor 07 to pick up. So something to keep an eye on there. Meanwhile,
so it is possible. No, it's definitely possible for them to make a comeback.
But Rival bringing 3 140s, an IS-7, 2 bat shots, and an RU-251. Meanwhile, 07 an E5, an IS-7, an STB, 2 bat shots, a Grill 15, and an RU-251. So Pub Whisper in that 251 heading towards the middle ridge. 1 bat shot for Rival all the way over there, and Commander J is actually going to head towards the hill on the 0 line.
Oh, nice shot, Frosta, the 251 tagging Pub Whisper in his 251. That was like an airborne, like James Bondy type of shot in the car.
And Pub Whisper actually gets tracked.
Yeah, he got tracked, though. That was like a very action movie-esque scene.
A couple of 251s jousting almost, as it were. And it looks like Commander J is actually going to back off the hill and rotate out, feeling comfortable that most of the guns are on the 6 line and that 1 line's open. And while I say that, the shift from Rival is coming.
Here comes Rival just charging down that 1 line with pretty much their entire lineup. The only thing that isn't with them is actually going to be Commander J in the bat shot, which is kind of escorting the wounded 251 there of Pub Whisper.
Yep, and these 140s and bat shot will get down the 1 line and secure that corner. However, this
is very interesting. I've never seen a team so tucked into the north defense here. Almost every tank from 07.
And this is the defense that I was talking about earlier with that IS-7. He's sitting down there at D5, and he can poke over and get resets on that 1 cap. The only spot that's going to be hard for him is that there's a little bush on the right side of C4 where he could be sitting, and he wouldn't be able to spot him just too far away in a little light tank if that's what he chooses to do. However, they have given up the 1 line, so they will have the angle. And actually, the E5 at Commodore is shifted over towards B5. So they're set up well to receive a 1 cap play here out of Rival.
That IS-7 is going to be such a pain to dig out. Oh, Warband.
So Rival just kind of slowing it down, looking for a gap. And this defense is incredibly hard to break. Essentially, they need to find a way to either get rid of the heavy tanks sitting here easily, or they need to adjust and go to the other cap. Now, the problem is that to get to these guys, you either have to make a push across in the north, or you have to make some sort of play through here or down and around and coming up towards the 5 line to get isolations on it. And if you want to do that, you're in view of this cross and this cross. So there is no way to really get at them without the rest of the guns for 07 to get into that fight. So I've seen teams stack up and push all their guns under here while they leave a gun right here to shoot over their shoulder, and they just ignore this cross right here. But there's just so many different ways. I've seen teams come around the south and just stack up and just plow into this I-7. I think we saw M60s do that on their Thursday match, where they just masked up and pushed over.
Yeah, they just went right over.
And it didn't actually work out for them, but that's because they knew that that's a bad situation to push into. Because once you commit into this 5 line, all the tanks up in the north from right here and all the tanks right here just have hold-down shots into this whole little valley, which is exactly why they're set up. It's a great system. It's very hard to crack. And so what you'll see a lot of teams end up doing, they'll decide, all right, let's not even try to break that. Let's shift all the way around and try to get, open up something, either open up the hill or take that side away, because it's just at least a bit more favorable position to fight from. But once again, not something easy to do. There are no, clean and easy answers. There are a lot of, we could try
messy,
this.
Yeah,
but this defense is very solid, and 07 will have a lot of answers for the different pushes that Rival could come out with. Just sitting here, clock burning down to 5 minutes, and
why do we see this so much?
And this is what I was wondering out of Rival before, is that they get in these positions and you kind of wonder, like, do they know what their plan B is? That they're not making any movement, they're not getting any damage in, they're not making a play for cap. They're just kind of sitting here, and you're just kind of wondering, well, what's going on?
They did leave the batch out of Executus all the way up north there, so.
And he's not even in a lot of risk right now because he has that big open field in front of him. He can get out of there if they try to push on him.
But what I'm saying is they left him there, so he could potentially come in for a flank once they start some pressure here somewhere. I don't know.
And the rest of the guns, and now this is what I was just talking about. They're shifting all their mediums over towards this 5 line. The I-7 just kind of lurking up in the north, and they actually don't have any spots on them. So we could see them just dump over in towards the 5-6 line to go get the STB and the Batchat, or they may dump on this IS-7, so we'll have to see what they do. And they're going to choose to just go up and over the cross and to try to find the Batchat and the STB.
A lot of damage coming on to Commander J here. He's going to take 1068, another 413. Meanwhile, Fosta is taking some damage as well. Makos, though, is going to take out Commander J. Unknown One is going to take out Fosta. And now this is becoming an all-out brawl as they recognize that they actually did have the overmatch.
Well, when you have those heavies committed in those sort of situations, they have to drive up a hill to get out of there, and they're so far away, and these mediums can move
Static
so
is
fast.
Desperately trying to get away. He's trying to squirm his way out of this bad situation and try to live, but E63 is chasing him down like a rabid dog. And right now, Static is actually going to go down.
And a heat shell out of Pub Whisper, the 251 bouncing off, well, not bouncing off, but fizzing out on the tracks of that Batchat. A little bit unfortunate there.
And still a good situation here for Rival. They are in the lead.
Rock's getting tracked, and he should go down in just a second.
That is most
He gets retracked again, but he does have his repair kit, or it didn't re-damage the track. And another track coming in, even though it's a one-shotter, he's like, I want to get out of here. I want to leave. And Coffee Thief just said no.
Not going anywhere. And now Rival, with a very good push on that overmatch, finds themselves in a very favorable position to win this series. Let's go Rival. It's about time.
Yep, and like I said, the situation that 07 left him in is a very solid defense, but it does have some flaws. Now, you could argue that the response out of 07 was a little bit slow, but just like the other thing I said, though, was Rival are very experienced on this map, and they've seen a lot of different things, and that old defense I talked about with the E3, a lot of teams figure out how to break that pretty quickly, and this isn't the first time this defense has been seen, so obviously Rivals kind of done their homework, and they were able to get through there. I would have liked to see a little bit more intel gathering out of 07, maybe using that RU-251 a little bit better, and getting some more intel maybe in the south to recognize that push was coming and give themselves more heads up to rotate their guns around, but they just didn't get the intel. They didn't realize it till those mediums were already on top of them and away from those heavy tanks. And those heavy tanks, the medium tanks are obviously faster than the heavy tanks. So when the mediums get out in front and they can just drive away, those heavy tanks are always going to be trying to catch up, and they have to drive up a hill.
Correct.
Which is another situation where they're not going to gain on them. And so it just, Rival was able to create that overmatch. They recognized it and they exploited it. And this is going to be round number 5 in favor of Rival, and that's going to put them 3 points clear of the relegation battle.
Which means they only need one more, James, to be safe.
Yep, and like I said, they're playing Deja Vu, which is going to be a pretty tough match. Deja Vu's been playing very well.
Yeah, at least they don't have to play Eclipse, but honestly, on the opposite side of the same coin, Deja Vu is almost Eclipse-esque.
Yeah,
so,
well, mini Eclipses as you will.
Yeah.
And, like I said, so that's going to leave 07 fighting for their safety on Thursday.
Finally, I
against
can say congratulations to Team Rival. And I mean that with the utmost respect because, man, they have been struggling this season, and that's why they're in this difficult spot. But now 07 is going to find themselves in even worse of a spot.